Attention all novice archers, this video is for you. We're coming out with a new segment we're calling Archery for Dummies. From the head dummy knuckle dragger himself, MFJJ. We're gonna talk about basic stuff because the majority of the people out there are new looking into this, and we're gonna try to make it as simple and basic as possible to cover some of the more basic things, which please comment down below on the basic things you want us to explain or show. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything. It's very easy for me and other people in this space, because we have a lot of experience and know a lot of things, to forget about the very entry-level things that we do. So I need you, the followers, the subscribers, to give me that information. What don't you know? Please, 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 please. Entry things. Things you don't know and want to learn. We're gonna start off by the 5 mistakes that the introduction to archery guy makes. Number 1, too long a draw length. This is not a measurement of things that matter in comparison, okay? Draw length is relevant to the individual, and if you wanna know how to measure a draw length effectively, go back to my Archery 101 series explaining how to effectively measure a draw length. The number 1 thing I do see is people try to shoot too long of a draw length. It's like you're 5'10" and you want to say you're 6'1". This is not that, okay? If your draw length is the right length, it's much easier to point at the target. If your draw length is too long, your front hand moves all over the world, crazy, inaccurate, hard to point things. So please, for the love of God, do not say, if you get measured out at 27.5, don't say, I want 28. It's not helping you, it's hurting you. Please, God, the right draw length, and once again, go back and watch that video on that. Now on to number 2, but first I need some more coffee. Now I'm ready. All right, so the number 2 thing that I see with people, more often than not, is they start with too heavy of a draw weight. And what I mean by that is your effective ability to draw a bow back. This isn't going to the gym and trying to max out your freaking bench press. You need to physically be able to comfortably pull the bow at the target. And why this is relevant is because you're developing a technique. It's muscle memory over and over and over. So I strongly encourage people to hook onto their loop, hold their bow out in front of them, point the bow at the target, draw the bow back with your elbow up over your shoulder, not below. Don't draw with your bicep. You're drawing with your back and your tri. And as you pull the bow back, you try to keep the bow on target. You do not move it away from the target. You keep the actual point, like you're aiming with the sight, at the target and keep it in the vicinity. It doesn't have to stay on the paper, but you're trying to keep it close into that vicinity. There's a couple reasons for that. Number 1, it shortens your shot sequence. All right? On anybody's shot sequence, ideally we want to be 7 to 11 seconds from the time you draw your bow back to the time you fire. If you can keep your bow pointed at the target, when you anchor back in, it will take you less time to be pointed at the target again. That shortens your shot sequence and gets you into there. You get past 11 to 13 to 15 to 17, you're running into oxygen deprivation. And what happens there is you start moving more, right? But the issue number 1 is you have to be able to comfortably do that. The only way you're going to keep your bow pointed at the target and pull it back is if you're not shooting too much weight. Another good telltale to if you're shooting too much weight or not is sit on your ass. Sit flat on the ground, on your butt, and draw your bow back. If you can't do it, or you're doing this to get the bow back it down. It's much better to develop good form and technique than to develop strength. The strength will come with reps, but get the technique down first. That's way more important. And now we're on to number 3. Number 3 most common thing. People have a tendency to want to grab their bow and squeeze it as such. Here's the problem with that. Your wrist is where your left to rights come from, because your wrist turns this way, okay? If you can rotate your hand like that to where your wrist is out of the equation and the pressure of the bow comes up straight through here, you will no longer turn your bow left to right, assuming your draw length is correct, because your wrist doesn't move that way. Most modern bows do not have forward jump or hop in them, so they won't leave your bow hand. So what I mean by that is as such. So you fire the bow, it stays in line. The momentum actually pushes back into your grip, but when your hand is on here like this, and if you can see, the bow doesn't turn left to right, and my wrist is not involved. The more muscles you can take out of the equation of shooting a bow, the more consistently you can shoot a bow over time, because every time you use a muscle, it's different the next time you use it. So every time you pull it back, you're going to be a little more tired, a little more tired, a little more tired, and your muscle tension will change. So by doing this, you're taking out as much muscle tension as you can. So grip placement, just like such, and the left side of the grip should look just like that. That should be the left side of the grip. and then push forward towards the target as you fire. But grip position, third most common thing I see. Number 4 is squeezing the trigger. And what I mean by that, I'll show you, and I will use Joel's phrasing, is you should be able to move your finger so slow that you can stop it at any time, which, by the way, that's Joel Turner Shot IQ. So, but there's basically 2 different ways of firing a trigger. You can slap the crap out of it, which is wrong.
Wrong.
Bad and creates bad habits, or you can slowly pull it. So I'll give you the examples. Here's one, anchoring in, and you're just like, this is James Visser action. This is bing, 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 right? You knew when you were firing it, which means that as you send a signal to this hand to fire it, you're sending a signal to this hand to grab the bow, which makes you flinch and react and miss. You need to not know it's going off. And how you do that is you gradually increase and load the pressure slowly on your thumb over and over and over until it hits a point that it goes off. So light, heavier, heavier, so slow I could stop it, so slow I could stop it, so slow I could stop it, and then it goes off. And what you'll notice from that is when it goes off, my hand goes back and my front hand goes forward because I didn't know it was going off. So I couldn't react to it. It's an easy way to tell. So slow you could stop it, shotiq.com. Pay for his course. It's incredibly valuable. So the 5th thing that I notice people doing wrong when they're new is mental focus. And what do I mean by that? This is a phrase that I've tried to teach every person that struggles with shooting a bow in their life. I really try to get you to think differently. And what I mean by that, and this will also coincide with the Shot IQ stuff. Shout out Joel Turner. The secret is you actually want to follow his son. He's way better at archery than Joel. But in any event, and that's Bodie Turner, just so you know. The mental focus is it has to be more important in your brain to make a good shot than to hit the middle of the target. If your true focus and your true core of being good at archery is making a good shot, you will hit the middle of the target. Missing the middle of the target is your reaction of trying to hit the middle. When you focus on making a good shot, you'd be amazed how much your pin movement slows down, because it's your brain trying to shove it back in the middle because it wants it to go off in the middle, and you're trying to control this explosion. You are literally trying to control a forced explosion every time you fire a bow. It's literally impossible. So what you must do is care about the shot feeling correct. That's my 5 basic things that everybody should know from the newer standpoint. Comment down below on what you think of these things, and I can strongly encourage you, if you're new, go into your local pro shop. They're really worthwhile. And don't be afraid to say, I don't know anything. Whenever I personally get into something new that I don't know, I will be the first person to say, I am an idiot. I know nothing. Please treat me as such and teach me like I don't know anything. It's the best way to learn. Try to be humble. Give your pro shop a try. That's really where you're going to get the most knowledge and the most experience out of any place that you can purchase things at. And it's a good resource to look into. So just be honest and be humble and ask for help and see how it goes. Comment down below on what you think of this video and what we need to talk about next. We're looking for you to tell us what you want to learn that's basic. Archery for Dummies by your favorite knuckle dragger, MFJJ.